Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to DocuSweeties.
We're two longtime friends to discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, honey, which can be acidic. It can be incredibly bitter. It can be dry, dry, dry. But at the end of the day, hopefully mildly sweet.
Hello.
Hello.
So today we're talking 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, Season 4, Episode 7, Drop by Drop, The River Rises. What a great, Mother Earth or, continent proverb, you know?
Yeah, listen, we made mercilessly fun of titles that make no sense to us. So this one is a beautiful title and also poignant in a lot of ways. In California, it's just raining, raining, raining. So truly drop by drop. And it also reminds me of that song, River Stay Away from My Door. You keep going your way. I'll keep going my way. River, stay away from my door. I'm sure, God, is it I think Al Jolson or something like that does the first, it's an old song, you know?
I have never heard that person's name. Say it again. Al Jolson?
Jolson?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to. At first, I thought it was like Sarah Vaughan or Ella Fitzgerald, and then you just said a name that I've never heard. So
I
just
don't know. Let
wondering.
me look up actually. Let me just, I don't know actually.
No, it
River
doesn't
State.
matter.
You know what? I think I
What
got it
did you think
wrong.
of this episode overall?
Okay, just so you know, I just looked it up and it says Frank Sinatra sang it. So wrong, wrong, wrong. And moving on, my loves. Hopefully we can just forget that I said anything at all. And we're talking about 90 Day Fiance. It's more important. And it's a great title. And I'm excited about this episode because it absolutely had no Daniela. Yay! Who do you want to start with though?
Yay! I feel like you can barely hear me. um. Anyways,
Yeah, I
so
can.
oh, you can, okay, because I was talking and you were like you said something that was yeah, okay. Anyways,
Or a little breaking
yes.
up.
What
I'm
did you
so
think of
sorry.
this? Oh, what happened? What did you think of this episode?
I really like this episode. I thought it was, uh, you know, interesting and there was a lot happening and I am sorry to see my sweet Debbie be hurt, but there was a lot of reality shifting and also saying the word reality. So, and it's a reality TV show, so it all makes sense for me.
Yeah, I felt that at the very end when they gave us a little montage of what's to come, I feel like that was their subtle way of telling us that we were going to be here for another 7 weeks.
Yeah. That's their super teaser, honey, or their mid-roll super teaser, honey. It's like, guess what's in store? I always appreciate it because if we were in a movie theater, this is the time for us to take intermission. But could you imagine if when you saw, first of all, we don't even get to see movies with intermissions anymore, but that used to be what it was. How fabulous. And a theater and you could see a little trailer of what you're going to see in act 2 before you leave.
Are you saying wouldn't that be fabulous? Like if we yes, I think that would be a full theater experience, like a theater ER experience, not a theater RE experience,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thought that it was a good episode. Definitely. I am getting a little tedious of Nicole and Mahmoud and the picture of her dressed like a scuba diver, but with the modest bathing suit on. Did you see the last couple seconds?
Yeah, I thought I had put up a picture of it, but then as I look at my things I put
I
up, it's not
mean,
there.
she looks like a scuba diver. It is hilarious.
Yeah, she doesn't look happy. I'll tell you that right now. She's not a happy girl in that picture.
Yeah. I hate to say this, but I can fully hear the feedback just reverberating in my ears. Maybe is it the mic? Can you What if you held the mic? Oh, now I hear the holding of the mic now.
Okay, let go of the mic there. How about that?
Yeah. Oh no, still hear myself. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, so we can jump right into this episode. The first couple I have is Gabe and Isabel. You want to talk about them first?
Let me put up their picture. Yeah, this was, you know, a muy nerviosa episode for us Gabe and Isabel fans. A lot of nerviosos happening. Let's start with. So this part I love. So basically, Gabe is working with his also Daniela, concept of Spanish, which is like, going into intermediate. But he also has a friend, Trey, that he met when he was living in the same like apartment building, where he basically like heard honey with that he escucha some hablas. I'm sorry, he escucha some English. And he was like, I know, well, hates me for this. And he was like, oh, I can hear some English, is what I'm trying to say. And like, let me get over there and like, speak my native tongue. So Trey is tall AF, and the boys just be boys together, just boying around. They're just playing sports, honey. Like they're playing football, which when Trey said they play football, I was like, is that soccer? I'm not quite sure. Tee-hee-hee. But we watched them play basketball, which is LOL. Looks like, Kevin Hart playing with Shaquille O'Neal, like like there's a moments where like Trey like has to like guard Gabe's like shots, or Gabe has to like dribble around the area that is Trey, and Trey's allowing it to happen. It's sort of like a little gnat, just like, yeah, buddy, like take 45 seconds to encircle the area that if I wanted to just move, you're done. Just like, like if I I have a skincare routine that Juan wants to talk about later. That's why she put this like this.
No. Gabe is terrible at basketball. Like he didn't make not one shot. And I don't know if it's just because aerodynamically he is lower to the ground. And we don't know how tall Trey is because Gabe is 5'2". So there's no telling.
Trey could be 5'8". And that's just what it looks like in the difference, is what Wa's saying.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. So Trey's Espanol es no bueno. You know what I'm saying? For someone who like feels like they live there, maybe they don't, but feels like they live a lot of their time there, and like just has like been like, I'm just gonna be an American in Colombia. Everyone's just gonna have to deal with it. So at first I thought to myself, does Trey know that Gabe is trans? Because like, in the Black community, it's a lot of nonsense occurring sometimes. And so Gabe says that he dropped the bomb on Trey, and Trey's like, oh, wow. What do you say, right? What do you say when someone just says that they're trans for you, and they might be the first trans person you have ever met in your life that you ever knew, and it was never even part of your sphere, and this all of a sudden this is happening, on TV. Like, I'm glad that Trey was human.
Yes. Yeah. Like it's, like he's not being threatened by Gabe in any way. Like his masculinity is not being threatened by him having, if Trey was dating who he thought was a cisgender woman and got a surprise, it might be a different reaction. But it was really interesting to watch Trey be like, oh, what? But this person plays football or soccer. Where it's just like you see it being like overwhelming it. And and he also, yes, Trey had a lovely reaction, which was genuine, authentic surprise and warmth and love for someone that he, listen, from what I feel like superficially knows and hangs out with. They seem like bros that hang out, play drinks, get drinks after playing sports, and like talk about girls, probably, like, well, obviously, because like that's going to come up later as a secreto, honey, a secreto.
Yes, muy secretos. Not muy, muchos secretos. Yeah, so you're right. It was that shock, and we saw it happen to Trey. We saw it go like bing bong bing 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 bong bang bang, and then to say the crazy thing about you play football, as though women don't play football, as though like that's what the defining factor of a person who plays sports is. I'm just like, you didn't say like, I don't know, some sport that women don't play that only men play. There is none, not that I can think of. Anywho,
Well, I want to say this. I think for his benefit, I don't think that if there was like football is a huge contact sport, so I think that some men wouldn't comfortably want to play with females if they think they can't tackle them and stuff like that. From what I'm assuming, you know what I'm saying? But maybe you're playing. Maybe it's soccer.
No, what I'm saying is that it's interesting that he would say that Gabe plays football. And to me, how I took that was an indication of, oh, you can't be a woman. You can't have been born in a female's body because you play football. When I know women who play football. So I'm like, to me, that's what I got from it. So if you got something different, then yeah.
Oh no, I
Yeah,
get what you're saying,
100%.
but I wonder for him it was just like, oh, like how many I've watched this person get tackled, like and like like it's just if you think that someone's weaker, if you think of, but like if you're afraid to touch, men are told not to touch women and like that they're stronger than women. So there's like a lot of things at play when it comes to like full contact sports too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If only all men would just understand and not do horrible thing to women because they're stronger. I wish that they took that information and took it in a way that was beneficial to
Oh
women.
yeah, like don't rape and kill us. Sure.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
so basically we also learned that Trey doesn't have the greatest relationship with Isabel. Like there's like some weirdness there. Like, like she makes eyes when he comes in or whatever. And so then we're now going to have what? A dinner with all of them. And then at some point, someone else comes. And I'll tell you, I don't know why the other person came. I was like not paying attention quite at that point. And I blinked and another person was there. And that person would never talk again. And they would show close-ups of this person who has like tattoos everywhere, is very skinny. I don't know who the person is.
That's her friend. He looks like a bird of some sort. And yeah, I think the only reason he was there was to provide support to Isabel, but she didn't require support. So yeah, I didn't understand why she was so upset, besides to say she just doesn't like Trey because Trey is like maybe other men she's dated or known, and that he's a perro, and that he's bad influence to her good old Gabe, which my same sentiment goes is like, a man is going to cheat, you stopping who he's friends with isn't going to do anything, in my opinion. So it just seems like, she was just like hating on Trey. And I felt a little ways about her hating on him. And then when they start talking about Gabe keeps telling him to shut up, as though like she's not going to understand that. And because she doesn't understand, she's even more suspicious. And it's like a weird thing. And then they talk about like the fact that he's going to have to tell her family that he's trans, because he doesn't want to keep that a secret for obvious reasons. And Trey is like, that's a bigger secreto than me. So like, she's worried about me. She's worried about the wrong stuff. Chris?
Here's the thing. I wonder if like she doesn't like Trey because like maybe he has a little bit of like toxic masculinity happening, and that's like one thing. Also, yeah, she like, she's very much like she calling him a dog is like kind of crazy. And she also uses the word womanizer, which I mean, womanizer, you womanizer all, like I'm down for that song and I'm down for Britney. I think that when she like tells him to like kayate with her hand, honey, her mono, she like, is like, he really hadn't done anything bad at that point behind just sitting there and just listening to a crazy couple fight over the fact that Gabe didn't want Trey to let it be known that they both go to this particular restaurant together, which that is the secreto, that they go to this restaurant together. Like that doesn't even make sense. Like Gabe does not want Isabel to know that they're sitting at the restaurant right now. And it doesn't make any sense. Like there is we've pretty much had like a porcelain, shot of these two people who are lovely and right for each other and make each other feel great, lovely, in love, warm, normal. We talked about it. But now we're having mild negativity for Isabella that she's controlling in some way. And we've also had hints that she's like jumped into this business, honey, and she's like taken over and he feels like he like works for her. Any thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts is that I want to pull back, me personally. I want to pull back from believing that she's the reason why he feels some kind of way about the business. Step up. And that's just for me. I'm not saying for you. I'm saying for me. Like, I don't want I don't even when that happened in that episode when he was like, I feel emasculated by this. I don't like that. I don't like it when men say that women take things from them by being women. By like because I believe in like equality. So I'm like, no, doesn't make any sense. Also, another thing is I think that you're right that she is showing a side of herself that is unnecessary because we don't know what he's done. And like again, my thought is he's a womanizer in 2023. What does that mean? I feel like women have access to information, and like unless he's actively out here lying to women, which okay, I don't know. I just felt like it was what do you mean he's a womanizer? Because he dates a lot of women? Is he promising them that he's going to marry them? So I guess I would need more information to truly be on her side for that. Because right now she just looks like she's angry. When then what did you think about this? When she says, I don't know what I'm gonna do if my parents don't accept you. She keeps equating her moving from like, I don't know, St. Carmen or wherever she's from to wherever they live now, whatever Medellin or Bogota, wherever they live. She keeps equating that to him moving to Colombia. What do you think about that? Do you think that that's a fair comparison?
You know, I don't. I feel like there are parts of Isabella, especially in the scene with Trey and her and the Scretos, that was a little extra and a little actory. You know what I'm saying? And there's a half of me that just feels like they're a great couple that are right, reading and doing a script for the season for us, and I don't mind it as much. And I think that obviously the climax of like finding out whether her parents, are okay with him being trans is like a built-in thing that we're like going up towards for like rising tension. And I felt it in the next scene, which is after they leave this dinner with Trey and the person that doesn't talk, and I'm like, why are you there? They're driving with her son Miguel and the daughter to the parents' house, and literally all the scene is them just being like, "Yo, estoy nervioso, muy nervioso. Yo pienso que esta situación is they're just like, like whatever, like, malo, oh, piano. They're basically just like setting us up for this situation. Now, her parents are lovely, lovely, lovely people. And it's like no shock that like her parents might be religious. Like, I'm always somewhat confused when any American person is shocked when someone's religious, like, especially like at one point, Gabe's like, I didn't realize they were like so religious. Like, yeah, they have like crosses everywhere. I'm like, oh, so yeah, is that real? Well, look, okay, yeah, like I mean, they're culturally a culture that's like ensconced in Christianity, just like Mahmoud is in a culture that's ensconced in Islam. Like it's just so wild to me. Or
Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah,
Well,
it's really interesting. I agree with you. I think that's an astute observation because let me tell you about South America and Central America. Boy, the Spanish came there with their Inquisition and their Catholicism. They came right up to the door and they just like gave it all to the natives. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with right now. So of course they're super religious, right? It's what's got them through the hard times. It's what got them through colonialism. So it's the dad is like lovely to him, and I think that we're gonna see I'm hoping that we see something nice and loving. But if I were them, I think I might feel, just based on what I know about you know folks that are not American, just from my familial experience, that I think it's more so of the not being upfront in general that might cause an issue. Also, I think that when you tell somebody something like that and you tell them in front of 5 producers and 3 cameramen, it's gonna feel like an ambush. And so that is what I worry, especially how that man picked Gabe up and swung him around. Like, it was like, wow. And then the dad and mom are waiting for the proposal. They're like, "So what are your plans with our daughter? How are you getting along with our family?" They're leaving the door open for Gabe to walk through. And I know we see that scene and it's super awkward. And I'm like, how does a cameraman and a producer sit back and watch this happen and not like cringe on the inside?
I will say I loved what the mother made, which would look like beans and rice, and there's some shredded lettuce, and she's like, "How's this food?" He's like, "Well, it's and she's like, as opposed to like Colombian food in Miami, he's like, "Well, that food isn't real, so this food tastes more real." And I kind of want to be like, "Can you do any better than that, Gabe? Come on, like, what's a texture different, like something else besides like, that's a Danielle
Real.
answer."
Real.
Um,
And I was like, first of all, there's bomb ass food in Florida. So everybody in Florida that's like, what do you mean the food's not real? We got real chickens here. What are you talking about? It's like he's talking about going to Taco Bell or something, and that's not true. There's bomb ass Cuban food. There's bomb ass all kinds of food in Florida, and even in the airport, girl. Remember I got laid over in Miami. That food was good, and that was in the airport. So I can only imagine what like food on the street is like.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of people from different cultures in Miami. Like, if it's once you get like a couple of people, they're gonna get a restaurant. It's gonna taste pretty goddamn similar. But
Yeah.
but if you're gonna like, say something great to the mom, then say something great to the mom about a specific part of her cooking. That's like what she's aiming for. That's what she wants, and like give it to her.
Yeah, like
I
mucho sabor or something.
Yes, of course, muy deliciosa. Sí. So anyway, now here's what I'm gonna say, which I completely agree. I can never imagine setting myself up or my father up or your like setting up my
Yeah,
parent, my dad,
yeah,
to have a dramatic reaction to learning something about my life or something or whatever on TV, knowing that I've sold him out for that moment. Like, I couldn't, I'm gonna tell you this right now, and look at me. It will never happen. So if I'm ever on TV and it looks like I'm telling my dad something, I've already told him. And he's acting because he'll never look at me at any Christmas again. It's like ultimate betrayal. Think about that. Like, think about the mind space you'd have to be at, how unclose to your family, how like truly F you if doesn't go right. You'd have to be with your family to be like, this is what it is. Like, which it makes what Sumit has done even better. But unless you could really at the end of the day tell me that it's all been a ruse and Sumit's mom's the Meryl Streeps and everything is fake. Like, I would want you to tell me that. I would want to, like, I'll be into a puddle. But like, that's what I'm truly saying. Like,
wait a minute.
what?
You think that your dad would like disown you or something? You think that he wouldn't talk to you? His only begotten heir? Like, you think that he would be mad at you? I think he'd be mad and he'd probably never trust you again. But like, I don't know that he would never spend holidays with you. You think so?
It just like would be uncomfortable for me to know that this person is like, oh, you sold me out. I mean, you're the only person that I've like, like I really raised you. You just like what for like $20,000. I mean, that's the whole season, probably $4 per episode. You were going to sell me out for this one scene to have your whole climax being built on whether whatever. I have no idea. In this situation, whether I accept your trans, lover or whatever. I mean, like, I could not do that to someone I loved. And here's the thing, like, it doesn't have to be a trans lover. Let's just say that I was gay or whatever, and I like brought
Told him on
home
TV. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
brought home it was like meet my new, like person, like, like I don't think my dad would have a bad reaction, especially because it's like 2023,
Yeah.
like I think he'd be purely shocked just because of my age now and how it's not quite that's not the case, and he'd be like, oh, I thought I knew you in that sense because how do you know, how do I not know, but like there's so many reactions I could have, and I just wouldn't want him to think that I paid a whole camera crew to have a reaction that could also, in a very intimate time in his life, make him a subject to something that he wasn't privy to.
Yep, I agree with you. You're absolutely correct. I would literally never do that.
Never.
I would never do that to my family. I would never ever put them on the block to be surprised and have like a crazy outcome. I mean, if they told me not to tell them the secret, I would be like, I'm going to tell you something huge and you might think of me differently afterwards. But I can't tell you because I want your genuine reaction. But whatever your genuine reaction is, hide it. Like or whatever. And I think my dad's been waiting for me to come out for years. So and it wasn't until like I started dating the last person I dated in California where I was like, I'm dating somebody. And my dad was like, I want to meet him. And I was like, I felt so bad because I was like, that's not going to happen. But I feel bad that he's wanted to meet someone I've dated for this entire time and I've never produced it. But I would not do that to him on TV. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Well, I think that's it, right? You want to move on? This is the longest I've ever talked about Gabe and Isabel.
Oh my God. I just forgot that we were doing a podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, let's move on.
I was like, you didn't. All right, next couple. Let's just talk about Jamie and Chris real quick. I'm going to say it real quick. Ready? Jamie and Chris. Here we go. Jamie is sick. Or no, Chris is sick. And Jamie's like, ay, mamita, ¿quieres ayuda? I feel bad. Pero my friends, you okay? Okay. Bye. It's because this was already set up and the camera crew and producers are already there. So I have to go. Okay, bye, mi amor. Besos. And then she gets to her friends at the wherever they're at, and she's like, girl, let me tell you what this bitch has said to me. First of all, the bitch is sick, okay? She came here, she was on the airplane, she had 3 surgeries, so she's supposed to have a surgery. She ain't had shit done, and now her back is all fucked up. We had to call a doctor, okay? And I'm here to tell you right now, she told me that she gonna go back because she got some motorcycle shit she gotta deal with over there in the United States. And she's trying to change the date of the boda. Yeah, she wants to change la fecha of the boda. Cambio la fecha de la boda. Isn't that crazy? Oh my God, you want to change the fecha of la boda? La boda. And so then the friends are like, oh my God, that sounds crazy. She's like, I'm worried. And then they were like, yeah, girl, that's crazy. Chris?
I'll tell you what. First of all, those friends were like, "Did you tell them we're gonna do her makeup?" Because they have been waiting to paint eyebrows on Chris. So like they don't even know what's a sadder: the fact that she wants to, cambiar la fecha de la boda, or that they're not gonna be able to paint eyebrows on the woman. Like they can't get over it. So let me tell you this. Chris is having those back issues. That a cortisone shot didn't help, and Chris, like got off the plane, like jumped onto like mattresses, you know what I'm saying? Was like, she's like sitting up against the wall because there's no like bed frame, like her back is hurting. It's so bananas. I will tell you this, it doesn't make any sense. And the streets, and do you want me to tell you what the Reddit streets are saying? Well,
I know. Tell us, girl.
Babes, they're like, we are watching someone fully go through like opiate withdrawals or withdrawals of whatever kind, withdrawals on screen. And her like needing to go back is like low-key her setting up a situation for her to go on a binge back in the USA. So yeah, like rare motorcycle.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Because she can't get the drugs in Colombia, which I feel like you might be able to get the drugs in Colombia. But no, that's just an old trope. Like Medellin is like not the place it was the ones in the 90s. Like I'm just joking. But anyways, yeah, that's what the word on the streets are. I mean, but we don't know. And, there's all those people in the comments that are like, none of you are doctors. You don't know about people's medical conditions. But, if you have back pains and you haven't had any kind of, surgery done and you've been just kind of dealing with the pain, I'm like, that kind of pain? That's what you've been dealing with, sis? Why don't you bring your medication with you? Oh, these are very good points. So anyways, that's what happened with them. Let's move on. Unless you want to say something else.
No, we just want the best for them. But I cannot imagine a world in which they're still together. And they don't. And it and also goes to show you, anyone could be a huge drug addict. You never know. And that's allegedly for her. But also just like a just word of the wise. It could be anyone, just like telltale signs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, shall we move on to who do you want to move on to next?
I have Osama and Debbie next.
Okay. Oop, wait. Oh, sorry. Deet, deet.
Oh, it's Osama and Debbie.
Okay. I really, really I loved her so much, but this for me started to make me let go of the idea that I could hang my hat on this woman, because even though as eccentric as she is, I used to like kind of live in her like ethereal kind of like beauty and fairy tale-ness and fairyland. But at the same time, once I saw Osama, I think I started to like not trust her style and taste as much as I had previously trusted it. Is what I should say. But in this situation, he's like picked her up and he's like, "Let me show you the hotel we're staying at. The hotel's gorgeous. It's like tiled, obviously, very Moorish or whatever. Like, there's going to be a gorgeous courtyard. They have 2 rooms, because we know how that life's like. And I am somewhat sad that we didn't get the all too, the all too obvious talking to the bell person who checked them in and being like, "What do you think of that older white woman and that young person and staying 2 days?" Like, and having to be like, "I thought he was his grandmother, and then I still think maybe grandmother or no, I don't know. I don't know." That didn't happen, but yeah, it's a gorgeous courtyard, and the rooms are kind of off the thing. It would made me think like, are they just literally like you're all in this courtyard together, and you just kind of like hang out in the courtyard until you shuffle off to bed and like I want to go to that retreat?
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, that's in Riyadh, I think. That the name that they were kept saying. Yeah, you guys. So I mean, it starts from the very beginning. They're in this like van cab, right? And they're driving, and he's like, and she's like, Osama. Now I know we didn't talk about this, but there's certain expectations that you might have of a wife, and this is the first time we have ever heard on this show a foreigner or woman from America going to this foreign land asking those questions. Now, granted, she should have asked this 3 months ago. But we're here and she's having this conversation and I'm here for it. So she's like, what expectations do you have for me, Osama? And he's like, I want you to be half Moroccan woman, cooking food in home, cleaning my clothes. And she's like, oh, a traditional role. And she's like, yes, traditional. And I thought to myself, what makes you think that you deserve that, sir? You don't have a job and you live with your mom and pop. You don't earn a living. What on this earth allows you to believe that you deserve a traditional woman or any wife for that matter? But, anyways, I think this is all a setup for him to kind of get her to go home. And when that doesn't scare her away, he has his final tactic, which he does at the end of their scene or their episode. And so then he's like, in home, we will try practice. And she's like, oh, practice at your house. And then she says, yes, depends on, if you will have patience to do this. And I, again, setting her up like, hey, I want you to hang out with my mom and clean and cook in the kitchen with her and see how the life is. And if you're patient and you're good, then maybe we can see if this is going to work. And so then she's like, because he's like, Moroccan women work hard. And she's like, well, yeah, but Shama, I've worked hard my whole life. The cooking thing might be a challenge, but I'll try. Sometimes we can get takeout and we can have our wine with our takeout.
And he's like, wine? No, 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 no.
And she's like, we can't sneak. Can we sneak it? A little sneaky?
I mean, yeah. That was so Steven and what was her name? Remember?
Alina.
Let women have wine. First of all, let women have wine, and that's a hill I'll die on. But yeah, she did not realize she thinks in her mind they're gonna go meet his family, meet him, and then she's gonna look into like the local Craigslist and get an apartment for them. It's like what I think in her mind, but she has to kind of like dance about like finding out the answers. And his mind, he's like, oh, you're gonna like live with my mom, or no, sorry, my dad. Or, he never talks about his mom.
He mentions her for just like a brief second.
It like, but we never see her, so like, we don't know what that person is like, what that person's life is like, or what that person is, who that person is. But you know, from what we know, it's like, do those people think that he's going to bring in a young woman who's going to like, you know, help the mom cook and clean or whatever, and it's like the cohabitation and the group living that we like know so well, and she's like, it's two things though, I will say. I know Waz like, how could he think that that's what she's gonna do? But it's like, oh, that's because like that's what they all do, like what's it called, what the women do. And the other half of me is like, she knows because she's an older, lovely, seasoned woman that like most women back in her day when she first started like having friends that got married and stuff like that usually were like the statement is probably like stay at home more than like women that were working, you know, so it isn't like so far off in her mind for like someone to have a traditional gender role relationship, you know, as opposed to like someone like Nicole who like can't understand or whatever, you know. Listen, honey, Debbie's been around, you know, like now. Yeah, I love Debbie being Debbie. I love her flat A's, you know. I love her style. I love that she talks about him getting clotheslined, you know, like.
Oh yeah, let's go through it. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it. Okay, so I've never felt more a kindred spirit than when she said, "We can get takeout and have our wine." I said, "That is very, very similar to myself." And it scared me a little bit. Like, am I gonna how long is my love for takeout and wine? Is it another 20 years of take? I mean, listen, I will have it for the rest of my life. But like but like I was like, "Uh-oh." You know, any like I like rings on every finger. I don't have them because my fingers are fat. But like, could I be Debbie in a life where I don't find somebody by the time I'm her age and I want someone because it's getting to that time of my life where I just want someone to like make sure I'm alive in the morning. You know, I don't want to die alone. I mean, but she had Julian, so I don't understand. I don't have kids. Like, she has kids. So I'm like, people will check up on you, you know? Like, I don't know what's going to happen with me. But anyway, so she's like, "Can we sneak in?" He's like, "No, wine or drugs in the house is like angel leave and devil come in." And she's like, "Oh, I need a drink just thinking about it." She has the tiniest lips. Did you look at her lips? Her like tiny, glossy pink lips. They are, and they're tiny in a way that like I don't go, oh my gosh, like she needs lip filler. But it's like she's just doing, I don't know. They're holding on. They're holding on. Chris, you want to jump in?
Yeah, so I also say that their styles, we obviously know her style. Later on in this scene, this is what I want to talk about, is that she puts on a lion's head necklace, is full Mufasa, like a Mufasa head necklace. And he starts to like kind of like he has like a kind of like a Rat Pack vibe. Like he's like wants to be like Osama Sinatra. Osama Sinatra. Like it's just like their vibes are so funny together. Like I don't know what moment it was where shit starts to get real for Osama. Like, is
Oh
it when
no.
he sees her off the airport and he's just like, "Oh, she's a little older than I thought. She's in real like she came." Is it was it his always his plan? No, but no, they met in Morocco before. So I guess
Yeah.
I know. So it's like why he is cold with her. Like he doesn't see like he it seems to have already made the decision
Yeah.
that it's probably not going to work out. And whether he was just like, I want to be on this television show, it's gonna be me and these like famous two cows and that baby cow, and also like I can't wait to see that baby cow.
I don't know because I mean, like, we'll talk about it when we get to that part, but like, she definitely was led to believe that he was ready to tie the knot immediately. So they're walking down the cleanest street slash alley I have ever seen in my entire life. And she's like, it's just so romantic. It's like a certain je ne sais quoi that makes me feel special. And then they get to the House of Flowers And she looks, it looks so mysterious. And like Chris said, it's a beautiful hotel, and she says it's an adventure and romance, and this is my reality. And then she's like, can you get our bags? He's like, cool. And then he's leaving, and he's the tallest person this hotel has ever seen, because every single door he has to duck into except for the main entry one. And how he knows this is because he's walking and his hat just falls off, and she's like, he just got clothesline, man. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, like, honey, like, she just was like, this is 1969. She just like is, a young freshman at Berkeley. She's like sitting outside Berkeley, honey, and just like took a huge toke of a, like, a what are they a what do they call a doobie? She like took a toke of a doobie, and then like some dude is like, like doing something dumb, and then just someone comes and just like clobbers him, and then he just like falls, and she can't help but laugh, even though she knows she shouldn't, because it's kind of sad, but at the same time, that doobie's hidden. And it's the same thing she says in 2022.
Yeah.
Same intent. Makes me so happy.
Oh man, you just got clothesline, man. So then, yeah, then I don't know if it's later that evening, she puts on every single ring she has, and she puts on every, like, the biggest necklace and a flowy dress, and she is just like feeling her fantasy 100%, as the girlies say, feeling their fantasy. So she goes to sit down and talk to Osama, and he's just like, basically, bitch, listen, we've got to get to know each other in real life, and I want to test this out before, and then you go home, and then you come back when I'm ready to marry you. And she's like, what are you saying, Osama? And then in her confessional, she's like, I don't know what this Osama is, but I don't like it. And then she's like saying she's trying really hard not to like get up and bash him upside the head. And she says, last time I was here, you were ready to marry me, and now you're singing a different song, and I don't know who this is, but I don't like it, and you led me astray, and you should be ashamed of yourself for doing that. You should have said, hey, Debbie, don't pack up your entire life, because that's what I did, Osama. You can't now send me home now and tell me to go home. And he's like, yeah, but that was on the internet, and I need to know you in reality. Now, here, this is some of the same themes that we get in the 90-Day Fiancé world. The younger generation truly feels that online is a separate, like, Sims lifestyle. And the older generation, my generation and older, I think truly think that online is like a real place. I do. And I would get caught up like that too. Like, I don't think it's fake because we're just texting. I think I'm caught up in it. And it's the same thing with Ben and Mohagani. And there was like one other couple who did the same thing too, where it was an older man and a younger person, or an older person and a younger person, like that, like 30 years age gap, to where one person is like, I have been being truthful and honest with you. And the other person's like, this was just play. Chris?
I mean, in a way, I think that's also deep down what Jen is afraid of with Rishi. I think that Jen deep down is like, is this going to air? And is it going to look like I'm a crazy American woman who left her whole life to be with a young Indian man who is not only not as serious about it than me, but also like low-key lied to me, made me feel like he was open and honest, and it was totally chill for me to like come and be with his family. But not only that, his family doesn't know about me. I met them and they still can look me in the eye and be like, we're finding an arranged marriage. None of them were like, maybe no one, I wonder if she sort of, looking back, asked all those questions. Well, first of all, can we move on?
Oh, yeah. You have anything more to say about Osama and Debbie?
No, I guess not, because I
Okay.
started talking. Yeah, no, I guess I don't. So then I was like, I don't know if you had more to say about them.
Yeah.
But let's move on to Jen and Rishi. So as I was saying, when going back in the episode 2 episodes ago, when Jen was able to like meet Rishi's mom and be like, so you're looking for marriage suitors for Rishi, and what do you want? Like, it was obviously so pointed, and we were so like, oh my god, stop asking, it's so cringy. But I wonder if her being like, well, who do you want in one, was her sort of trying to test the waters of who they had already met her, and obviously she's sitting there with their son, to be like, well, as long as they're in love and it's a beautiful, kind woman who respects our family, I mean, we were open to. But they didn't say that. They were like, well, whatever religion, we want kids. We don't even think you're a possibility, so we're not going to even discuss it.
Yeah, I truly believe that it is really hard for an American woman to understand what she's getting into when it comes to that culture, because I think, and I'm going to say this only because this is my guessing, so maybe I'm not true, but I also think it's the fact that she's white, that like she probably isn't used to other cultures not wanting her, like, or family reasons why. Because in the States, like, people of color can date white, and it's very rare that that family would be like, except for like maybe some black families, but black families are the only person to be like, you're marrying a white woman. But like mostly the other cultures, from my experiences, they're like, okay, well, at least they're not black. So I think that she's probably like, oh, you don't accept me. But then another layer, and this is the one that's going to be really hard for me when I start to look my age, is that I'm getting older and I cannot have kids as far as I know, right? So like, or it's going to be very difficult for me to have them. So that truly shuts me down from a lot of men um in America. But then to go to a place where they're blatantly like, you can't bear us children, get out of here, or like, we don't want that for our son. Whereas like, yeah, an American family might feel some kind of way, but they're not, only some families will be rude enough to say something like that. But culturally, it's not a need to have situation. So I really feel for her and what you just said, because what if that's me one day? Like, what if I'm the old lady, like trying to like shack up with some man who makes me feel the best I've ever felt in my life, but my value to his family is diminished because, I mean, but the truth is, I can clean, so I would take care of every single one of them folks. They would love me.
No, I know. Listen, like Waz, like listen, kids, schmids. But do you know 4 a.m. chai tea maker? 4 a.m. chai tea maker, honey, the best in the biz. 4 a.m. chai tea maker, fresh ginger coming right up. She's braiding. I know
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I just, so yeah, she says, so yeah, Jen says in this episode, I don't want to be made to feel like a fool. Like I don't want to, like, and it's in relationship to both women are wanting their dudes to say certain things. Well, I want to tell my family all about how my love for you has grown to the point we are going to shack up together and have our own household in this beautiful country that is my mother country, where you will and I will join and be married and happily ever after, and in our own place. But like, no, but none of these people can say that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like there's so many things that are at foot. So anyway, so Jen, having learned all that, and wants Rishi, like, is putting Rishi's little toesies to the fire to be like, look, how long are you thinking that I'm going to wait around for you to tell your parents that you are engaged to me? And basically, she gives him the out of the summer, because Jen, in her mind, has the kind of tourism visa that kind of was like, who had that? I guess Jenny and Sumit had that, where Jenny has to like leave. Doesn't Jenny have to leave the country every 3 months or something like that? Or
Yeah, and she was trying to go to Bangladesh or something at some point.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Now we know. Now listen, this whole time we've been wondering if Jen has ever watched 90 Day Fiance with Jenny and Sumit. So like maybe she has, because she got a little confused, my love. Okay, so she thinks she has this kind of passport where she can do this, and obviously Jen already lived in India from before, because that's how she met Deer, and like that's how she met Rishi. Like she's not her first time in India, but she's like, that visa is coming around, and like I'm gonna make the decisions of like what this thing, and she's like, look, I moved here. This is to Reese. She's like, I moved here and I give up everything. And you've literally given up nothing and told me that I had to like go into wife training. And now that I've done that, and it was very nice to everyone involved, I'll tell you, haha, not for me, not that one. So no, I'm not gonna do it. Are you okay with that? And he, and I will tell you this right now, is 100% not okay with it. And he does every facial tick possible to let everyone know that this man is dying on the inside and won't just be truthful. I mean, at one point he's like, look, it is fine. Or I'm just like, your eyes aren't even open. Like, it's just like, he's like, look, if she's looking in my eyes, it'll give him away. Like, I have never really like, super studied psychological giveaways of like people that are liars. But I mean, like, eyes looking, I think it's like not making eye contact, shiftiness, just like an uncomfortability. Like, this man is sweating fucking buckets to be like, yeah, it's totally okay. And my family will be okay if I don't live with them. And if they're not okay with it, I will absolutely take their side and take your side. I will take your side and go against them easily. I will not even think twice about it.
It is because it is it is 100% outside of the realm of what he knows life to be. That's what it is. It's not like he's like, okay, it would be like me telling my parents like, I'm gonna go live on the moon. I don't know how I'm gonna get there. I don't know how I'm gonna survive or breathe, what I'm gonna eat, but I'm gonna go there because my lover wants to go there. You know what I mean? It's just like so foreign for him. Go.
But also there's the component of that he's also stealing away his parents' own ease and comfort because of, so it's like Wa saying, I'm gonna go to the moon, like I just said, go to the moon, don't know how I'm gonna breathe, whatever. Also, I have to sell your house to pay for it. So I'm gonna sell the house that you've called your home, and like where you think you're gonna retire and all that. I'm gonna sell it, and you do you with your life at this point. I'm gonna take that money, go to the moon. Like, it's also that it's fucking them over in a huge way, and how they viewed their lives in the future. So
Yeah.
basically, yeah. So basically, then she goes and she's like, I for some reason lies to her. I don't. He doesn't know what to do in the moment. There's cameras. He's like, of course, this whole time we're like, tell her no, like whatever. Then she goes and is like, oh, also like this thing where the visa coming up, so I'm just gonna have to like go talk to like my bros, my lawyer bros, honey, and just like whatever. So she goes to this like place. I mean, these men are there, and another thing where she walks in and thinks that Indian men are gonna like fall on their knees, but whatever. So she's like, "Hey guys, I have my visa right here," and we're like, "Cool, bring up the visa." She brings out her phone. Already, like, weren't we all kind of like, "Oh, okay?" And then she brings up her phone. She's like, "Yeah, I'm like, look at my visa. I was just wondering, it's like whatever this email I got, but like, I have to like leave maybe or something. What's like the place I can go to that's like not America, so I can just like hop in, hop out?" And they're like, okay, let me look at this visa right here. And she's like, yeah. And they're like, well, this visa right here 100% says that like you cannot come back. It's a single use visa. She's like, no. They're like, no, open. He like opens it up. He's like, I can't make it bigger because it's your phone, and maybe you should like get some like fucking glasses, girl. But like, no, it says it right there. And she's like, oh, but isn't there something to be done? Like, in her, it's wild. They are so like, bitch, we can't do anything fucking for you. Like, you leave. Like, they're literally like this. You're so dumb that we are going to tell you it's better for everyone involved. We're going to tell you, but mostly India, for you to just go back.
They shun that bitch back to the US, and they're like, where are you from? First of all, they're like, we don't even care. You could either be from Australia, you could be from England, you could be from the States. We can't even hear it. That's how much we don't care about Americans or foreigners. Okay. Number one. Number two, she's like, I'm from America. And the way she says the "ka" on America is like, now I notice that she goes up at the end of all of her sentence and holds it. And I hate her for it, but I love her in general. Okay. So then they're like, it'd be better for you to just go home. Like, Anil, who is not the one she's talking to the most, Anil is the older one sitting behind the desk. And he looks like the Muppets that are in the opera booth at the top. Like, he looks just like that. And she's like, inshallah, I can stay. And they're like, Oh, Arabic, interesting. You're in India, so interesting. You know, like maybe they're Muslim, who knows? And so then they're like, when are you going to get married? And she's like, well, I don't know, because we're using this time to get to know each other. And he's like, oh, this is the craziest American behavior. It's crazy that she came here and doesn't know when she's going to get married. Like, if she had said that she was going to get married within like 20 to 15 days, like maybe we'd be able to do something, but go home. We cannot change this situation. Chris.
Yeah, it was very interesting they brought the marriage thing because, if this was a different couple, that would be the out. They would be like, oh, they'll just have to get married. Well, whatever. Like, but Jen doesn't have the audacity nor the dumbness to think that that's a good option. She wonders for it, and listen, it's a great option if we hadn't just gone through the first 7 episodes of the season to realize that his parents and him aren't on the same page.
Yep.
So basically from this information and her just realize, like, her not knowing something incredibly important, which I will just tell you this. Low key, if I was Jen, this is the moment of the whole season where I'd be like, oh no, cringe. This is like my own, like, either like extreme anxiety that, adulthood is overwhelming or something, that I'd be like, oh my God, I'm on national television. Realizing that my visa that I've been looking at on my phone is like a single use visa and I have all these people here. Like, it's almost too much to comprehend. And like, wow, do you think that the production of 9 Day Fiancé knew that she had a single-use visa that was about to expire? Like, because how do you plan production without knowing stuff like that? Well,
I don't think that they did. I mean, because unless they bought her ticket. But I don't know. I don't know anything about visas. The places that I go when I leave the country, I literally never think about getting a visa to those countries until like 2 days before I'm about to fly. Each time. London, when you and I went, I was like, oh my God, do I need a visa? I mean, and I yeah, right? I didn't think I did, but I forget that there are countries where I would have to actually get a visa, and it could take months or weeks to get it. And then you buy the ticket. But my dumb American self buys the ticket, girl. And like, even Costa Rica, we are post COVID, but we're not every place is post COVID. And the last time I traveled in 2021, Canada was still really strict with it. So it's like, I can 100% see her just doing this and see production not even looking into it, because really it just makes more fodder and more intrigue for their storylines.
I just, in my heart of hearts, I think that the production must have known, just because, like, listen, I don't know about visas. It's because I don't go to countries that I've had to get a visa. Like, in this kind of situation, I have American privilege where you're right. Like, I'd be like, oh, I have to get something to enter your land, and it's not so much that I think I'm so much better than all the lands, it's just that all the lands I've gone to has welcomed me in with my, like, Delta ticket, whatever, so.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely want to go to these countries. Like, what if I wanted to go to Mauritius? Like, what if I wanted to go to Maldives?
Sorry. What was one?
Mauritius?
Huh. What?
Well, what if I wanted to go, like, it's a tropical place. Let me look that up to make sure. What if I wanted to go to the Maldives? Let me just stick with that one because I know that's a tropical place. Like, would they require a visa for the Maldives? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, I also think of them called the Maldives. I'm in, like, in a different reality where, like, everything you're saying to me sounds like
you call it Maldives. Like, oh, I don't know. I've always said the Maldives.
But you said Mauritius, and I don't know Mauritius, honey.
Maybe it's not a tropical place. It's a place. It's an island nation in the Indian Ocean. It's a tropical place. Yeah, I want to go to Mauritius. It's beautiful.
Well, I'll go and we'll figure it out, and we'll get probably. Here's the thing: is not only you have to get visas. Sometimes you have to get immunizations, and sometimes you can say the word.
Yeah, so, yellow fever for like Africa, and I want to go there. And I fully see myself booking a trip to Accra and not looking up if I need to get the shots.
Yeah. But anyway, so going back to them. So then so then after that meeting with the lawyers, she then has another meeting with Rishi where she has to tell him what happened. She's like, hey, and they're getting chai, and they're getting chai. Like, brown, brown, beep, 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 brown. Yeah, street side chai. The guy behind them is wearing a full Where's Waldo like outfit. and she's like, she loves like a layered tank on top of like, like loosey goosey pants. So she's like, remember I had that meeting with the lawyer, and I want to be like, did he know that or whatever? Because you just made it seem like, oh, you have to like jump out for like 2 days and come back. Like, did he even tell him? What does he even know? And she's like, he's wearing like a head scarf. It's like a headpiece that like is engulfing his whole head. It's like I just had to buy one of those. Oh God, it's like when you ski and you wear this mask up to there, a gator. Look, he had like, but he had pulled it behind him, so all his hair is like in a gator. So she's like,
I'm playing the sound effects of the city streets. It
oh.
was you did not notice it. I noticed it so much that I was annoyed at production. I was like, move them inside. Anyways, go ahead.
No, I mean, yeah, no, I guess not that particularly over other ones, but God bless us. So she's like, yeah, the meeting went quite different than I expected. Had a very different outcome. And she's like, my visa is a single use visa. And again, half of me is like, are any of them going to be like, but there's one way around it?
Get married. I sing it, ladies. I
But
sing it,
no one
ladies.
does. Like, no one, like, she pretty much is like, I have to leave, and I'm going to leave, and let's just be honest, probably, he's like, not going to ever come back. She's like, I mean, it's leaning that way, just because she's like embarrassed, which is the same thing that like, Debbie feels, just like, I literally 7 episodes ago, I packed up my whole fucking life and was like, bye, bye, bye. And they're all like, this is the worst idea ever. And I was like, I don't care, fuck you, bye. See you never, and then now they have to come back like prodigal daughters and prodigal aunts and prodigal mothers, like, hi. Remember that time I wanted to go like see a place, and so I like went to go see a place, but I'm dancing that place now. I'm back. Shh, don't ever talk about it. Like both of them feel that way, which I get. Like again, there's a lot of moments like I would hate that, and so any of these people for putting their lives on display, and I mean also Nicole, who we'll get to, like Nicole putting all this on display is actually incredibly brave. The only thing, again, I don't think is the bravest is Isabel putting her dad on display to see what happens, except that I think that she already pre-talked to them, and then that's why that's fine. But basically, yeah, she's like, Jen's like, I'm gonna leave. I don't know if I'm gonna ever come back. He's like, well, I would, it was such a hard time before when we were in a long-term relationship. She's like, yeah, and yet when you finally got me here, you didn't get your shit in a row, did you? No.
I mean, she's crying, he's crying, they're in their love and they're sad, and it's like all of that. And she's like, I don't want to have to go home because now I made a fool out of myself. Like she actually says that, like, everyone's gonna tell me I told you so, and like, it just sucks. And I feel like God is telling me that this is not the right thing and I should just pack up and go home. But I'm like, it is crazy that you didn't check your visa. It is crazy. Don't you have to apply for a visa, and don't you have to tell them how long you want to stay? And like, it's just so wild that maybe they sent it back to her and said you're approved, and then in small print for a single entry. Like, what did they say? And also, like, girl, why don't you just stay illegally? Maybe I don't know, because people stay in the States illegally all the time. But I'm like, are they gonna find you? And if you get deported, what's gonna happen? You're just gonna go home. Like, I guess I just don't. I don't have a like. I'm like, are you gonna go to? Is she gonna go to jail for a certain amount of time? Is that what
Maybe.
happens? Oh, okay.
That's my fear, honey. Like, Joe Giudice, I don't be put in like, that immigration jail where Anna Delvey was too. Like, no, she has to get the hell out, honey. She knows she has to get the hell out. And when a lawyer that looks like that is like, get the hell out, like, I will listen. Absolutely, sir. Like,
The truth
check.
is, though, like, yes, you're right, but the truth is like, where are they gonna find her? Unless she breaks a law, she's like gonna be fine. But I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's like this tear-filled moment where they're just both crying, and it's like only if he were to just marry her, like he said he was gonna do, then this would all be okay. And now she doesn't trust that he will, or she doesn't trust the situation is gonna be right because she knows it's not. She knows that he's not gonna be able to move them out immediately and leave his family to fend for themselves. Anyways, that's all I have to say about them. But what do you have to say? All right, let's move on to Mahmoud and Nicole, which I'm quite tired of talking about. I think the only thing that I want to say is that there is one thing that I appreciate about Islam is that from those that I've known, It is about the man needs to be the priesthood holder and needs to teach the woman. But he's got to teach the woman in a way that's inclusive and inviting and isn't crazy. And I think the one thing that I got from the conversation between the uncle and Mahmoud is that they feel like Mahmoud is going about this all wrong. That he's trying to force things on her that he doesn't need to force on her. But I think the reason why he's doing it is because she agreed to it and did it initially and now has backpedaled. It'd be one thing if she never put it on and he had to slowly convince her. And then she's like, "Oh, Mahmoud needs to teach me how to pray." And when she said that, I said, "You're not into this religion, because if you were into this religion, you would learn how to pray. You don't need him to teach you how to do that. You don't want to do it. And you're saying you're having a crisis of faith because of Mahmoud. You're not having a crisis of faith because of Mahmoud. You're having a crisis of faith because you don't want to be bound to this religion. And that's a fair call out. But just say that. And that's all I have to say, Chris.
That's absolutely true. So, this picks up obviously on the heat of that last argument at the house, which is basically, over the hijab or whatever. But they have to go. They've been knowing they have to go to the uncle's house because their uncle, he runs like a fabric warehouse, obviously. That's how we know. And he can give them business advice because Nicole and her has been a fashion student before and knows how to draw and everything like that. And she has a set of gifts and she has a niche that she wants to fill, which is creating conservative clothes for women in the States and or Islamic women anywhere and or religious women anywhere or anyone who wants to be modest and or conservatively dressed for any reason in a cute way. It's like what she's trying to do. But they're always late. They're always they were late to their meeting she made them have with the friends. For some reason they're always late, whether it's production or they just don't know how to do their time notice. And I get that, but they're obviously late now because they've been fighting. So the mom comes in, honey, and the mom's like, "Hey, no, sorry." Oh yeah, giving the phone. I was like, what was happening? And she's like, "Remember, your uncle, the one that raised you, the one that when your dad left, they had no man, and he's done everything for you, and you work there. So, you've been waiting 7 hours for you dumb kids to stop yelling at each other, and she was in the bathroom for 5 of those hours, she's over it or whatever." There's so many good memes, and I posted one of that woman on the phone. The mother on the phone is basically being like, "Who the hell is?" I'm not going to say it because it's a tweet that won't work unless you read it. But every time that Nicole sees that woman, I wonder if Nicole's embarrassed for having wasted all of their time, which is honestly what it feels like. It feels like he comes back, he's like, "I don't want to fight with you." She's like, "All right, but you also are a game player and you told me to leave," which is listen, I'm not going to say that's wrong, but you didn't leave. So who's playing games now? Now you're going to sit here and then after he told you he doesn't want to fight, you didn't leave. So you didn't do that. Now you're going to sit here and want to fight more. It's oh, I hate this. But anyway, so she's like, "I don't even want to go." And he's like, "Well, that's not a fucking option. You're in Egypt. We don't fuck over our family here. This person's been waiting for your to give you advice for your dumb business idea. Get a rag on your head and let's go, bitch." But whatever, that's not what's gonna happen. I'm sorry. But this is one whole thing which I don't quite understand. This whole thing becomes now well, I'm not wearing the hijab because I don't believe in it. I'm having a crisis of faith and I don't want to. And I'm like, okay, totally. But right now, you are in this person's home who is a big deal in your family because you are married in this family. Okay, this is his grandmother. This is Mahmoud's grandmother, but you're in your uncle's home. That's his uncle's mom. If this person, and I said this, tells you to take off your shoes when you enter because in this person's home you can't track your dirty street germs everywhere, you take off your shoes. If this person tells you before we eat dinner, we wash our hands, people do the washing of the hands, definitely if you are in Judaism, if you were to sit down, there are the customs that you do not because of what you believe, but you are being hosted by someone in their home. And it's incredibly rude and or incredibly, I will say, American to not understand that and to make it about yourself. Now, having said that, no one part of Law and I is like, Nicole, you know what? A year ago, you said you were going to be this one religion. You better fucking for the rest of your life do it, bitch, and smile about it. It's like, no, the truth of the matter is we all know you made a mistake. You've been knowing you made a mistake. He knows he made a mistake, but he doesn't know what to do because you're here. You are 38 and you have to get yourself out of the situation just like you left, Fountain and Gower not nearly four episodes ago. Like it's crazy to me that she doesn't understand as they're sitting there with these women in full things that like just put something over your head, babe. They're not even telling you to wear black and wear that whole thing. My favorite part is this moment where they come in, they show all their sketches, and they're like, this is what we want to do, and they're like, okay, cool. They're like, oh, great sketches, bitch, whatever. They don't call her bitch, but like, I'm obviously getting. By the way, I like Nicole, and I think Nicole and I think Nicole is neurodivergent, so I do understand that, and I think that it reads as being incredibly ignorant, but I think that's just someone who doesn't quite, isn't maybe to have the same social wherewithals that I'm blessed with and that I have anxiety about because I think I always make like mistakes all the time. Anyway, Wow, what do you want to say about this situation and the grandma or
No, I mean, I have nothing else to say. I think you touched on it. Like Michelle said that Michelle is on the spectrum too from Blighty Day Fiancé. So Michelle was saying that she could see some things in Nicole that was that way. And even the comment about Nicole kind of turning into a robot at sometimes and like freezing and people thinking that she's like fake and then coming back to life, but yeah, I'm just kind of frustrated with her. And it is a young person's folly that she is following. And it is like, leave this man alone. And if he's pulling you towards him, then I can see your confusion, but you're too old to be making these choices. You're just too old for it. And you, yeah, I mean, they felt like the clothes were a little too, they weren't modest enough, which shows how conservative they are. But they were like, it's a good start, and we'll make this money off of these less modest women. But yeah, I don't understand why she just couldn't wear the hijab in that man's house. Like this, like they wouldn't even have that conversation without it. And Mahmoud thinks that they're about to read her rights when they're like, why isn't she wearing it? And he's like, they want to know why. And then they're like, well, it's actually your fault that she's not into Islam as much as she needs to be. And then he's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna translate that.
He says something also telling. He's like, so basically, they also are like, well, she doesn't like start with the praying. Like she should be praying, and she then is like, oh, good, like let's jump on that, and not talk about the clothing. So that's when she's like, well, and he has to help me learn, and we all are like, that you don't want to learn, like not. And also, let me just tell you, point a rug to Mecca 5 times a day. Get on your knees. Allah, Allah, Allah. That's what it is. Okay. So like, first of all, it's not that hard. Okay. So I'm not, I mean, it's something like that. I mean, obviously it's not that. I love you guys so much, but like, listen, it's not like it's that hard to find out. There's YouTube. So, but it does become this thing where he says, I don't want to tell her anything. Every time I try and tell her anything, she just yells at me and she gets upset or she just shuts down. She makes her not want to do it more. And he doesn't, of course, give her loving guidance. He doesn't even speak really like, perfect English. So a lot of him like getting frustrated and anxious is just also because of the divide in the miscommunication. And what also he says is that it feels like he knows in his heart that she does not want to pray. So if he was to push her on it, it would be revealed how far away she is from his faith and how truly incompatible they are. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. I think he wanted this blonde pixie woman for himself, this fantasy, and like just trying to make her fit into his mold, and it's not working. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, just like where I am in my spirit. I am so sleepy because I have been awake since 2 or 1 a.m. as you guys know if you follow me on Instagram. But talking about this episode has revitalized me. It was a really good episode. I don't normally am like over things, but every single couple I was like in it and feeling good. So I'm back, So I really enjoyed this episode, and I think it's only going to get better. I mean, we saw the mid-season preview of like what else is coming for the next like 7 or 8 episodes. Who knows how long this is going to be? And I mean, we see that Jamie was right, and Chris does actually go home and then doesn't talk to her for an entire month. And we know they get married. So it's just crazy. So, anyways, we're up for some good stuff that's coming. And Chris, go ahead.
I can't wait to see what they do for I can't wait to see what those guys do for the makeup. I mean, that's the biggest part of the wedding I'm excited about. Anyway, if you want to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, maybe while I was going to say that, let me tell you how. You can go to Instagram and you type in the word @. It's like a little like A sign that goes like a flippy flu. Have you seen it? And you put in DocuSweeties, which is the name of the podcast you're listening to right now. And then you follow us and like every post possible. Also, you can do the same thing on our Twitter. And there's a 1 at the end. On TikTok, we also exist. We'll do things there more as well. Now, let's just say you're like, you know what? I wish I had listened to you, but also seen a close-up of both of your faces the entire time I was listening to this podcast. Let's just say that you're like, I just want to see every pore. I'll pay $10 a month to see every pore. Wow. What would happen?
You can do so on patreon.com/DocuSweeties. You can see that I am breaking out literally all over my entire body, just like all the breakouts, even on my back. I don't know what's happening. And that's $10 a month, and you get to see the visuals of what is ticking your eardrums at this moment. You also get the episode as soon as we record it. So Patreon is about to get this in like the next 5 minutes. And we are going to be doing some extra stuff. I'm going to be putting some polls up on what you guys want to see first, what we should drop, all that stuff. So join us on Patreon. It is 2 Starbucks coffees a month. You know what I mean? Support your girls, because we provide you this quality content, and we would love for you to join our little community. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.